Ooh.
There's always like that second. There's always that second where our faces show, and then the animation kicks in, and it scares me every time. It's like, hello, everybody.
Hi.
And welcome to another mystifying episode of Picks of the Week, brought to you by Cape and Cowl Comics. Yes, this is the Cape and Cowl Comics YouTube show based on the comic shop of the same name. I am your host, Cody, aka The Mutant Menace. I am joined, as usual, by my fabulous co-hosts. First up, we have Kevin, aka KevBotzilla, aka 1 second. Let me see what else is aka. Hold on. Keviniak. How's it going, Kevin? How was your day?
Pretty good. I think my screen name was a bad idea. Badooch. Get it? Because it's a comic that's by bad ideas. My day was good. My day was fun. Lots of sales, lots of sweet ass comics, going to lots of sweet ass customers. Yeah, beautiful day to be alive. How about you, Cody?
It was good. We're under construction, which is super exciting, but I also have a really splitting headache because of it. So at this point, I'm just like sliding by. But I'm here. I'm also joined by Eitan, aka Pick of the Week Ton. How's it going, Eitan?
Good. I had this really good idea to come up with an excuse about buying a collection, so I didn't have construction today. So my head feels great. I'm rested.
How long did it take you to load all those empty boxes into your car for the photo op?
It's only, it's just in the back of the car, so it's only like 5 boxes, and they're all empty. Right. So I was able to keep my cocktail in one hand while putting the boxes in with the other. So it was fine.
That's awesome.
Actually, I went and bought probably the biggest collection I guess we've ever gotten. It's a monster. It's about 65 long boxes full of comics, and most of them aren't even bagged and boarded. I mean, we're talking like 65 long boxes full of comics.
That's wild.
We got some work to do.
Wow, you should change your name to Eitan Bunky Manhoff or something. You get you a warehouse full of hundreds of long boxes.
We need a warehouse. Anybody got a hot tip on a warehouse? Let us know, because it might be that time, because my garage it's at capacity. I didn't even take these boxes out of my car. They're still just in the car.
It's been at capacity for years, Eitan. I've been house sitting for you ever since I got employed here, and it has been at capacity the entire time.
I know. Now I'm worried one of my many, many cats will go out there and we'll just never hear from them again. They'll just disappear, and in 10 years, I'll be going through that one box that I know has those Transformers comics in it and be like, Taco!
And so to clarify, this is not a joke. If people have tips on warehouses, this is like serious.
Yeah.
It's like not
like a halfway safe neighborhood.
I don't care if you're watching this in 6 months. We need a warehouse. I like the toys.
Probably true. Yeah, so as usual, today is the Pick of the Week show, so we're going to highlight some cool new releases that came out, single issues, trades, or otherwise. This is for the week of May 5th, which was yesterday, which is New Comic Book Day. That happens on Wednesdays, which makes Wednesdays really cool. It used to just be Hump Day until you got into comics, and then it's Comic Book Day. So there's multiple reasons to celebrate. And we have several things to talk about today. I think that I'm going to go first.
What?
Yeah.
Cool.
I know. I think that's what's going to happen. And I have to say, let's work up to it. Okay, so my first one is Hellions. This is issue number 11. This is by Zeb Wells and art by Steven Segovia. This is one of my favorite X-Men books on the stands. You've probably heard me talking about it before if you were regular to the show. This book is a deep dive into the psyches of our teams, some of their kind of subconscious minds as Mr. Sinister and Mastermind and Arcade all kind of play each other like chess pieces on a chessboard with the Hellions caught in between. Awesome developments in this issue to what is one of the funniest superhero books I've read in a long time. And as usual, this was a highlight for me. Loved it.
Dude, the art in this is incredible. I always forget that the art in Hellions is mind-blowing, but like these sort of like double page spreads, Cody,
Yeah.
Cool.
Stuff is great.
I have to show off my favorite thing too, though. I have to show off what is my favorite thing, which is we got a call back to Inferno era Havoc, who wears his tattered costume. That is like not leaving much to the imagination. This was made famous by, I believe, Mark Silvestri in the Inferno era. Wow. And we got a little glimpse of it. And every time that costume appears, I appreciate it very much. So that was fun too.
That reminds me of Rogue, Savage Land Rogue, where she's like in tatters, but Magneto's costume is like perfect and shiny, but they're
right. Because of course.
So Cody, in this issue, do we get some full-blown Quanon versus Betsy, or what is this cover indicating? Because this caught my eye when I was looking at the table stuff earlier. And I feel like you don't see the two Psylocke x Psylocke in the same place anymore these days, right?
So, that actually like doesn't really happen in this issue. It's a little bit more like complex than that. And they actually don't confront each other in this issue. But actually, if anybody wants that kind of content of Betsy and Conan, that's actually happening in Excalibur. The past couple issues of Excalibur have featured both of them working side by side. Conan had to rescue Betsy from another situation she had gotten herself into. So that's actually where that's happening, which has been super interesting. I think Conan was just Teenie Howard was able to borrow Conan for that storyline. So that was it was good. The past couple issues of Excalibur have been really good. And Excalibur is not a book that I am always excited about, but the past like 2 or 3 issues have really caught my attention. So
nice. That's cool. I love that whole piece because I spent most of my childhood just thinking Psylocke was Psylocke and didn't know that it was what it was.
God. It's
much later.
It's so ridiculously complicated. Even amongst the most hardcore of X-Men fans, you start talking about Psylocke and Betsy, and it's this rabbit hole that all of us just like rip our hair out about. Like X Twitter is just like, you could fill an entire forum of just what's going on. How did it happen? Different writers had different takes. It became more and more convoluted, and it's honestly just depends on who you ask.
Well, I'm going to pick your brain after the show because I have questions that just came to me. That
Please don't. It hurts today. Please don't pick it.
Tomorrow.
It doesn't need any more picking.
1:30 sharp.
No, it doesn't need any more picking, drilling, hammering, screaming, singing. None of it.
Oh my.
Awesome. Well, Hellions, if you guys aren't caught up or want to check out Hellions, you don't know what it is, we should have volume 1 at least in the shop or on order. And we do have some of the more recent issues as well. So
I'm going to assume this is about me. Thank you. No, I'm just kidding. It's probably about Havoc. But, Eric, never apologize. Never apologize for who you are. And Juliet, I love to sing, but not today. Today is a break from singing and hearing singing. But tomorrow, the singing will resume. And one day we should do it together because we don't ever hang out because we haven't really been able to. Eric, I love Hellions too. In fact, I just talked about Hellions, not at length, but for a short time. And it was great.
For less than 9 minutes and 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Well, Hellions was fun. Eitan, why don't you go next? What DC book do you want to talk to us about, or non-DC book? You did have one non-DC book on your picks.
I did. Let's start with that one. Let's start with the non-DC. Don't pigeonhole me, DC guy, just because I have this.
Oh no, an excuse to show his arms again. Everybody, hold on.
I have this.
Hold on.
You guys know how to get to the vet? Because these pythons are sick. Okay, so
wait, Evan, hold up my book. Yes, thank you. I do not have any books here today because of my pretend comic book collection purchase earlier. Kept me. To really sell that I was busy today, I went to the store first thing, dropped off my backpack, and put my regular daily soda in the refrigerator just to like throw them off the scent. And then I left it there to go, like get my massage and lay in a hammock and stuff. But
your mani-pedi. Did you get your mani-pedi, Tom?
I did, obviously. So I don't have any comics. So Kevin's gonna be my lovely assistant. Kevin, please show them the comic book. Do you have the A cover, or do you only have that hideous?
I told you I only got the B cover for the video. No, there's an amazing cover by Dave Johnson that I'm assuming, based on the second cover, that it will be like sort of a familiar format going through each issue. But the B cover this week was by Sana Takeda, the artist from Monstrous, who doesn't do stuff other than Monstrous. So it's always nice to see Sana Takeda doing something else. And what a book for her to choose. This is like the perfect choice for a Sana Takeda cover.
Right. So The Good Asian was fantastic. And it's by, the writer is the same writer as Infidel. And I am blanking on their name. I know Cody knows their name.
Yeah, Pornstack Pichecho.
Wait, say it again, Cody, without Kevin talking.
Pornstack Pichecho.
Got it. Great. And then Kevin's showing the whole creative team there. Phenomenal first issue. It's my favorite type of story in comics outside of superhero stuff, but it's crime noir. It's set in 1930s San Francisco, specifically Chinatown. The main character is actually the first Chinese American police officer in the United States. And presumably they were, I think if I read the story correctly, they got their badge in Hawaii and now have been recruited to come and work in San Francisco in Chinatown. And he's just like a hard-boiled detective following a case with the backdrop of the immigration ban against Asian countries and the just crazy racism against Asians at that time in the country. So it just like it adds this incredible level of complexity and interest and intrigue to already just a super cool crime story. So I loved it. The art is great, very moody. The color, who's the colorist on that book, Kevin?
The colorist we have down as colorist is Lee Loffridge.
Okay. Not super familiar with that name, but they did a great job. They do like basically color washes on a lot of pages.
So they do.
And it's so yeah, and the panel layouts are fantastic, and you see a few different shades of color, but it's usually like a wash on a page, and I love it.
You get a little bit of mixed colors, and then when you turn the page, you get to flashbacks or blue. It's very thematically colored as the different panels deal with different parts of the story.
Mm-hmm.
It's also a very timely comic too, right? With all the with the Asian American Pacific Islander month being this month, and all of the recent stuff with Asian American discrimination, it's like a perfect book for the time.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I really can't recommend it enough. It was the best book I read this week in a field of really great books. I've been waiting for it for a long time. I am fully on board. Juliet, I see your request there in the comments. We will absolutely pull it for you. And I'm going to just go ahead and pull it for everybody else here too. I'm just, every one of you, I can see your name. I'm pulling it for you. Enjoy. Thank you for your business. But yeah, Good Asian one. Really, really good.
And you know that Juliet wants the Sana Takeda cover, right, Juliet?
Kevin was giving me a hard time all day yesterday because I was pitching the book and selling it quite frequently, but always bringing the A cover up.
Only bringing the A cover over.
I was nothing against the B cover. They're both great covers. I was just like, I just need to show people this book. It's really important that I show them this book. I didn't want to waste time grabbing two books when I would take me half the time to only grab one.
I just look for things that I can give a ton shit about during the day, and when I find one, I glom onto it. And this was the one I found yesterday. So That's it in a nutshell. I think that there's like this certain element of it too, like the fact that he is specifically tasked with working with the team that is in Chinatown in San Francisco. Like he works on the Asian enforcement squad or whatever the heck it's called. And you can tell he's very like fraught all the time. Like there's no point in the story where there's not tension, where it's you can almost feel the counterbalance between him trying to keep keep face in front of the Guilos, but also trying to protect his people at the same time. But he also has like that pulp, like hard-boiled streak through him where he's self-loathing. He hates himself. It seems like maybe he hates some of his people too.
It's an interesting thing that he uses some knowledge, just ingrained knowledge of his culture.
Yeah.
But not like in one case in particular, not to help a bystander, but to like this guy in this specific instance, he can identify a opium addict that the other cop there has no idea, and he uses that to spin what's going on. I don't want to spoil it exactly, but to spin the situation. But he's willing to exploit elements of his culture if he needs to. It's so interesting. There's so many layers to this character already, 40 pages into his story. So I hope that this is like the first, I hope that this is a character like a Parker or a Marlowe. I'm not saying those are my kids' names, but I'm talking about the fictional characters, the crime noir characters, Parker and Marlowe, who you just and new Ethan Reckless, like we have in the Brubaker Phillips stuff, where we get to follow this guy through a bunch of different cases, and hopefully for a long, long time.
Did you read the back matter of that issue too? Like this character is inspired by a real life Hawaiian detective, Chang Apana, who was in over 50 movies as well as novel, comics, cartoons, board games, radios, and TV show. So this dude is already like a Parker. I hope that they keep doing stories with him. That would be cool to get like multiple volumes of The Good Asian. I'd be into that for sure.
Yep.
I just wanted it in a nice little hardcover. Excellent. Look at Juliet. She says that Lee Loffridge worked on Stumptown, Noir Chops. Absolutely. Stumptown's amazing.
There we go.
Oh, Raul liked it too. Great, Raul. I'm glad you liked The Good Asian. I'm real excited about that one. Isn't there another like Asian-centric comic coming up made in Korea? Didn't you highlight that on your thing, Cody?
Oh, yeah. Jeremy Holt has a book coming out called Made in Korea. It was on FOC this past weekend, and it's going to be really cool. It's kind of like a sci-fi family drama that questions biological ties, questions the meaning of family when AI is involved. I'm excited about that one, too.
Ooh, love it. Okay, so for my pick, my first book I'd like to talk about, I chose the B cover for Eve by Boom Studios. This is the Mirka Andolfo cover. I hate that I have to get so close so you guys can see it.
Your camera is having a hard time today.
It always does. Just wants to focus on the good stuff, But this story starts out with a young girl who's living a life apart kind of with her father. Seems like they're doing sciencey stuff and exploring and going over daily lessons. You don't really get an idea of what the world's like or what's going on because the scenes mostly take place like in this little ecosystem she lives in with her dad. But we quickly find out that this young girl, Eve, has been spending the first 11 years of her life in virtual reality in a tank. And our story picks up right as she's woken up by her cyborg teddy bear, who tells her that much like Johnny Appleseed, she's been tasked with a mission to reseed the world. And it's going to be an adventure. We're promised adventure, so I expect adventure. Let me show you guys some cool pictures from this. It was just so freaking cool. I've been loving these new Boom titles, especially ones as ambitious as this. We get a little bit of a view where she's been living in virtual reality, which looks like a lighthouse surrounded by lots of water, which is what happens when the ice caps melt and the world gets covered in water. I don't know, guys. I love me a good Boom #1, and this was no exception. If you want some super fun, what seems like, I don't want to say family adventure because I don't know what the status of her pops is, but if you like young adventurers in a uninhabited world saving humanity, this book's for you.
And robot teddy bears.
Yeah, robot teddy bears. Like
What's
the teddy bear.
That panel
What's
there,
that?
the top, the panel that's the top, it's
Yeah.
my top right looking at it, but the teddy bear with like the scary robot above it, is
Yeah.
that like what the robot actually looks like and it's just presenting itself as a teddy bear to her?
I was confused.
I don't know. I feel like maybe that's just like an example maybe of what he's implying or what she's thinking. I don't know if that's actually like the form of the cyborg or the android, because it's like, because basically during the 11 years she was in virtual reality, it built itself into a teddy bear to be less frightening to her when she eventually came out of virtual reality. So maybe we'll get an idea, or we'll get a lens on what those robots look like. Like, is it the only robot? Are there other robots?
There's another shot of the robot walking with her, and you see these like weird, creepy robotic legs. So I kind of feel like there's more to this robot than what we see. So
I think the robot's like packed into this little bare frame, but yeah, he's got like extendo legs. He probably has like laser vision, which I'm basing off of the cool like little laser flare on his eye there. I don't know. Like, there's so much unknown about this book. Great start. Lots of cool things to anticipate. I don't know. Check it out. We got lots of cover A and B. This is actually, I don't know why I didn't start with this. This is by Victor Laval, who did Destroyer. He's a sci-fi writer, I believe, right? YA sci-fi?
Yeah, a novelist who came to comics to do that Victor Laval's Destroyer that came out a few years ago, and then this is the follow-up to the comic, to his previous comic.
Illustrated by Joe Myung, and colored by Brittany Peer. So check it out. We might even have one of the Inyak Lee incentive variants, which are going for a pretty penny, but they are beautiful.
Indeed.
Cool.
Also, did this remind anybody else of? Did this remind anyone else of Oakland?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like heavily.
Yes.
That's the first thing I thought.
I like how everyone's calling him Freddie Ruxpin. That's perfect. Definitely.
Creepy.
I went to high school with a kid whose dad invented the Teddy Ruxpin.
And I don't think my dad, the inventor of Teddy Ruxpin, would appreciate that very much.
Also invented the Yak Back.
Whoa.
I loved my Yak Back.
They were so cool.
Hours of entertainment.
What's the Yak Back?
You don't remember the Yak Back? It was like a miniature handheld version of Kevin McAllister's little voice thing he had in Home Alone 2. You talk into it and you can warp the voice or replay it. No,
I didn't have any like electronic toys. I don't know why. I think my parents didn't trust me. Probably thought I'd build like tasers or something, but
honestly, these like teenage Instagram influencers these days have no idea what actual entertainment was, and it was yak backs, and it was what all those things that the hit clips.
Look at Eric Rigsby. Eric Rigsby. It was 100% Kingsborough. His name was Donald Kingsborough. That's really funny that you found that out because
wow.
All I remember about that kid is he was kind of douchey and he didn't know how to ollie on a skateboard.
Wow. We are live, Kev Botzilla. Live.
Hey, we were kids. We were all douchey. Nothing against him. He's a nice kid.
That's true. I sucked when I was a kid.
I was really, really terrible. And
I was better. I was better than Aton, but most of us were. So my next pick.
Wait, guys. Eric Rigsby just said he went to elementary school with his kids. Does that mean we went to school with the same Kingsborough? Okay, Eric, we're going to talk about this later. Sorry to interrupt everybody. Moving on.
Yeah. Kevin, we're talking about comics. God damn it. And skip it. Skip it? No, I don't
skip it's cool.
As captivating as that all was. My next pick is actually a trade paperback, or as we in the biz like to say, TPB. Nobody says that. But this is actually kind of a reprinted book. This is EC Archives presents Tales from the Crypt, and this is a very nicely sized archival paperback. It's collecting material from Crypt of Terror issue 17 through 19 and Tales from the Crypt issues 20 through 22. So this is awesome stuff. It's classic. This is like pre-code stuff, right? Yeah, this is pre-code.
Yeah.
And it's like just horror classics that are super like cheeseball and pulpy, presented in full color in this nice paperback for only $19.99. This has been printed in a lot of like hefty archival editions that were like hardcover, slipcase, etc. A lot of it has fallen out of print and become hard to find and quite expensive. So the fact that they're repackaging it and reprinting it in a very affordable edition for people like me who missed out on some of those big collectors' nice items, I had to seize the opportunity. I am a big fan of the horror genre, and experiencing it in this medium in some of this like classic way when it was coming out is just fabulous. So this was a highlight of the week for me for sure.
Yeah, you mentioned that it's pre-code. Not only is it pre-code, it's the reason there is a code.
There's the reason there is a code. Yeah, EC Comics.
Those EC Comics. That I'm also very excited that book exists. The only way you could get those EC reprints for the last like 15 to 20, maybe even more, for a really long time were the Dark Horse hardcovers, like Cody mentioned before. And that same book in a hardcover was $50.
Yeah.
And has been out of print for a long time, so probably $150 on eBay.
Right.
And now you can read the stories for $20. And the book's beautiful. Like, it's a really nicely made softcover. This stuff was coming out in the 50s. It's Wally Wood, it's Al Feldstein, it's Harvey Kurtzman. It's like these guys were so far beyond what their peers were doing in the superhero stuff. Like, no shade to the superhero artists at the time, because they were great too. Guys, turn off your cameras. I'm talking about easy. I'm going to cover you up with my hands so that I can talk about it. These babies. You little babies.
Continue.
I don't want to talk about it anymore.
No. I had a question for you guys. I had a question for you, because Eitan, you've seen a lot of these original issues, or at least some of them in collections you bought or things you've come across. Are the old ones? Is the lettering the same in these versus the old ones? It like almost looks typewriter style. It looks way less like hand lettered than most comics these days. I'm just curious. I don't read a lot of stuff.
That's just how, when people like that is handwritten. That's the real deal. Yeah.
Damn. That's pretty cool. It looks like a freaking typewriter. It's really good hand lettering.
Yeah, they actually they have good restraint when they reprint these EC books, because it's not like DC reprints old shit sometimes, and they do this recoloring that's just like,
oh my god,
it's so mind-blowing that you would destroy somebody's art with this recoloring for no reason. And these ones, they don't do that. It's just a bright, glossy version of the original.
It's really nice.
Yeah,
and these have all the original ads and all that stuff too, which are kind of cool.
Yeah. The letters and stuff, and that's back when to like beat the post office for shipping comics, you had to have a certain amount of like printed word in your book, not like word balloons, but like text. So you get these like cool 1-page horror stories written by these guys. It's just it's an experience reading those books, and they take hell long. Like we're used to these 10-minute, new release, reading Hellions or Green Lantern, and you're done in 12 minutes. This shit takes you 45 minutes to read a 30 because they tell you every single thing that's happening in every person's head in every single panel. It's great. I love it.
This is accurate, Juliet. I don't even like Killing Joke, and I was offended by the recolor. Yeah. That one's pretty egregious.
It's wild. I don't understand. I have no idea what the justification for those are. Just to make it different, maybe to buy somebody to try and trick somebody into buying a different.
Version? Maybe that, and also just things like there was a recently released Absolute Swamp Thing by Alan Moore, and they completely recolored that, and it was a huge bummer because like the original Swamp Thing has this like really strange, it's more of a classic coloring, but it lended a lot to my reading experience of Swamp Thing. The colors did, and they recolored it, and what they did is they made it super modern. Like it looked like a book that would have just come out. And it really, in my opinion, worked to the detriment of that story. And that's one of my favorite stories. So that was like, how dare you, like nerd rage. But what can you do? And it's the reason why I didn't want it. Because like I like to get absolutes of stories that mean a lot to me or have great art. And I love the art in Swamp Thing, but I don't want that recolor. It's not worth the $100, however much they were charging for it. But
do you think it boils down in a lot of cases to a difference in the medium, like the paper being newsprint versus like a heavier stock? Or is it just like a bad decision and they just colored it wrong when they did it?
I think it's probably like I have a feeling because 80s comics in particular, using like the Swamp Thing as an example, like compared to today's comics, they're totally muted. Like like across the board, they are just less.
That's just how it looks.
And maybe they thought to appeal to a new generation of readers, they're like, oh well, we'll punch this up, we'll make it look like New 52 Swamp Thing because that sells like crazy, so we'll make this look like that and we'll sell more. And I think it's just a miscalculation. It's probably not malicious, it's just like some high up had this idea of like make it look like this because this one sells.
Dude, people oversaturate everything. When I worked at Best Buy, oversaturate your TV screens, oversaturate the printers, like whatever you can do to get people to notice it and buy it. So it probably was some mix of all of those.
Well, I mean, like a lot of like the classic Swamp Thing too, when you look at it, it was a little bit of like this kind of Technicolor dream situation. Like sometimes the sky would be this weird, sickly pinkish color. Things were like a little bit like odd and like, I don't know why the coloring choices were made in that way, but it lended in my experience to the reading of that book. And then when you look at the Absolute Swamp Thing and the recolor, it's just everything is very, like Eitan said, it's like made to look like the New 52. Like the sky is that dark blue, the trees are the dark greens and browns, and that's not how originally the trees in the forest were like alive in all kinds of crazy shades of green, and then they just like completely collapsed it into like browns and emeralds and I don't know. It was just very different.
It's like they gave a kid a box of 8 crayons, and they're like, "These are your colors. Go nuts." That's fucking flat colors.
But they're laser crayons, so they have no like texture to them.
Right.
Like just like boom, green, boom, blue.
Yeah, Juliet says, I think they stepped back from the trippy aspects in favor of the New 52 Grimdark. Yeah. That's really how it felt, which is weird because that Absolute came out last year though, but it still just feels like a modern comic though, like to fit in with like what Eitan said with like how they released the New 52 Swamp Thing omnibus recently. It kind of like maybe to make it a cohesive experience, I don't know, but it's not as great. I know, right, Ruby? That original coloring is just it's so cool.
Yeah, damn it. Well, all that is to say that it is in that sweet ass from the Crypt reprint. It is the original coloring, which is great. And on like new, nice, fancy paper. Yeah, and it's a nice book, and I'm glad it's only $20. And hopefully, everybody buy them so they keep going and they get to my crime stories. Okay, they're gonna do all the horror ones first, and I need them to get to the crime ones. Yeah, look at that! Look at that!
If Eitan doesn't get it, he's gonna cry.
Yeah, I am.
You don't want that.
I already am.
It is true though, like for fans of this one, they are doing a Vault of Horror one that's coming soon, and they're doing the MD comics as well, like the hospital drama ones. So they're really going for it. So I think the crime ones will definitely see another printing.
Okay.
Dude, Juliet, I'm glad you're loving this color detour.
Colors.
Kevin, what is my next book?
Is it your turn or is it my turn? I'm just kidding. It's your turn.
Cody
What do you want to do?
And me. It's my turn.
It's your turn.
Pick up one of my books, damn it.
Children.
Okay, Aton's books. Where did I put those garbage issues? Just kidding.
Colors for the win for sure, Julia. I just recently did like a thread on some of my favorite colorists. It's so much fun to kind of pick out their signature, their touches, and I love it.
Have you guys oh god. Our friend who just put out the book Count.
Ibrahim.
Oh yes. Yeah.
Ibrahim Mustafa. Okay. If you follow him on Twitter, he's been doing these awesome things where he shows his original inked pages for the book Count, and then next to Brad Simpson's colors on it, and he's just like, look what Brad did to this. Like it's just, it's a black and white page with like some spaceships, maybe like a little battle going on, and it's just like ships on where you see the ground and you see the sky, and with no direction on it, and then you look at the colors and there's like pinks and blues and browns and grays, and like he adds so much mood. He added a little lightning to like one panel, and I think that was one of the comments that Ibrahim made, like, I didn't put that lightning there, Brad did. And it's fucking genius, and it added so much. So if you're interested, if you like colorists, that particular thread or his feed where he's been throwing those in side by side has been super cool.
That's awesome. I want to check that out. Thanks for letting me know.
Who's the colorist on that Green Lantern comic you just picked up there?
The colorist is Alex Sinclair. This Green Lantern was written by Jeffrey Thorne with Dexter Soy and Marco Santucci on art. Isn't Santucci the guy who does Turtles? Doesn't he do Turtles stuff occasionally? No, that's Santalucci. That's a totally different guy. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Ignore me.
Green Lantern number 2. Kevin just mentioned the team. I think we talked about Green Lantern issue 1. I believe it was one of Cody's picks last month, and it was great. This second issue, there is so much going on here. It doesn't feel like overstuffed, but so many major things happen in this issue, and they're all interesting and exciting and like actually changing the status quo with the Green Lanterns, but for like what feels like really good story purpose, not just like I'm going to stir the pot and freak people out. But number 1, about a third of the Green Lanterns right off the bat. We're at a funeral. Sorry, let me set the scene. Go
spoiler light. I haven't read this one yet.
But I'm going to spoil the last page.
Why?
Because it's important to the people here who might want to read it if they knew what happened on the last page. Well, it's not that much of a spoiler. The person.
I haven't read this book.
Plug your ears, Cody. I'll wave to you when you can listen again.
Have you seen both the covers for the comics? There's an A cover and a B cover.
Do I work at this store?
Yeah. Okay. You've seen the B cover. So the spoiler I want to offer is not like anything you don't see on 50% of the covers of the comic in question. Okay. I'm not even there yet. Okay. Listen, I got other places to go. Setting the scene. We're at a funeral for one of the Guardians of the Universe. Okay. They died in the last issue. I don't remember how, but it was bad. He's dead. Okay. Now they're at the power battery. And one of the other Guardians is like, it's no big deal. Guardians die. It's rare, but it happens. And we just are like part of the universe. It's not like you nerds. Like, it's fine. But everything's different for Green Lanterns now. A third of you, you're fucking fired. You're fired. You're out of here. You're done. Get your rings. We're not even protecting those third of sectors anymore. Okay. The Green Lanterns divide the galaxy into 3,600 sectors. They're like 1,200 sectors. gone, done. We're not even bothering with those anymore. That's the United Planets problem. Okay, that's one thing. They say another third, you other 1,200 Green Lanterns, or 2,400. Anyway, you're going to the far reaches of the galaxy. You got work to do on places that we can't even see from here, and we can see fucking everything. And you're going past where we can see. Okay, the rest of you, business as usual. Okay. That's it. I really like built up to that point, but that's like kind of the whole thing. But then there's a spoiler on the last page, which I would
don't
love
spoil
to
that
share with you all.
Yeah, don't spoil that. I'm looking at the last page, and it's a really good page. Cody, you don't want this spoiled for you.
But there's people who, yeah, Cody. Anything else you'd like to know? Any other details about this issue that I can share with you?
Just imagine all of the Green Lantern threads that have been woven through DC continuity over the last several years, all finally getting pulled together in one story. How's that? How's that? No spoilers, but check it out if you've been reading any Green Lantern shit. It is a doozy of a last page.
Yes. Anyway, this is excellent Green Lanterns, and I think we talked about this when we talked about issue 1, and that my expectations were not super high for this series, unfortunately, because it was the same writer as the Future State Green Lantern, the lead story of the Future State Green Lantern, which wasn't my favorite of all the Future State that I read. But the more I think about Future State and stuff, like, that guy was probably just told, like, you're gonna get to tell your story, which is clearly epic and awesome. But first, could you just, like, I don't know, 20 years in the future, we're gonna give John Stewart some like cool dreads and some piercings or something and put him on this planet. Could you just do that for a couple issues? And he's like, okay. And then he got to like do his thing. So this is like maybe a little under the radar, but one of the better new DC books and a really, really good crop of new DC books. So no spoilers other than all of the ones I just said, but there's a big spoiler on the last page that if you, like Kevin said, that was a really good way to put it. If you've been reading any other Green Lantern stuff for the last year, you'd probably be interested.
Green Lantern adjacent, not specifically Green Lantern titles, but if you've been reading any Lantern adjacent books over the last couple of years and you've loved them, and I know you have, I know you've been waiting for that one character to come back as a main character in another main Green Lantern book, read Green Lanterns.
There we go. There you
go. Cool. Mike Rowe just looked it up. See, Mike Rowe can confirm. Okay, my turn.
Sure, Cody. Are you mad at me now? Are you mad?
No, I
said the whole Green Lantern issue.
I'm not. I just wanted to segue back into a cool thing that happened earlier. Raul, I don't know if you're still here, but this piqued my interest. What would it take for Cody to get a DC tattoo? Honestly, not much, as long as I get to choose. And on the topic of Green Lantern, and in relation to this comment from Mike Rowe, I am obsessed with the alien lanterns, and like the more effed up they look, the more I'm obsessed with them, like unreasonably. So I'd probably get like Broccoli Guy with the one eyeball, or the chipmunk one, or Salak who has like tentacles coming out of his face.
Wait, who's your favorite? Who's your favorite? Do you have like a number one favorite weird alien lantern?
It's so hard, and I'm still learning so much. I'm reading a bunch of classic Lantern right now as I gear up to read the Jeff Johns run, which is often where people are told to start. But I am a psychopath, and that's not good enough for me. So I'm in the 70s. And I'm working my way forward. So there's so many, and I'm learning so much, but I truly have a special place in my heart for Broccoli Head with the eyeball. I love him. I don't know why. What was the one I fell in love with recently?
My favorite's the volcano head guy.
Oh, wait, no. The one I fell in love with is not green. It's Larfleeze, the orange lantern. I love him.
Larfleeze is cool.
Larfleeze is great.
I like that the volcano head lantern, his dialogue is constantly interrupted by his face erupting. It's like the best fucking thing I've ever seen.
So
I laughed
good.
so hard when I started reading Grant Morrison's Green Lantern, and that guy popped up in like all of the first issues. I was like, oh God, what have I been doing not reading Green Lantern comics?
I know. That's what I said.
Do you remember like a week ago when I showed you Guy Gardner Warrior for the first time?
Stop.
That's the best. That's the best one. That's the best Alien Green Lantern.
It looks so bad. That's like, yeah, I'm not looking forward to getting to that realm because I like Guy Gardner. I like how much of a shithead he is.
Guy Gardner is the best. And then when you find out he's half alien and he can turn his body into like weird weapons that shoot cannons, and he's got like war paint on and stuff. It's so cool. So cool.
Juliet, you just broke me coming through with the Drag Race references. Yep. Oh my God, I'm slayed. Stop it. How dare you do this on this day in America? That's hilarious. Yes, Dahlia Sin as a Green Lantern. No, but oh yeah, and in the beginning of Grant Morrison's run, there's the guy who I know he's been in previous runs, but he crash lands on Earth and Hal meets him, and he's basically a diamond. He's like a rock.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm obsessed. Like I have spent so much of my like nerdery and geekery reading things and just being like, why can't we focus on like this weird messed up alien? And like they've all been kicking it in Green Lantern for decades. So that's where I am right now.
Nice. Oh,
yeah.
All right. I got a fun one. One of the two offerings from our favorite and least favorite publisher of all time, Bad Ideas. Whalesville.
Only one. It's just one bad idea.
Yeah, that's right. I'm not sure which of their ideas is the bad one. We've got some guesses, but it certainly wasn't this issue this week. Whalesville X Rocks and Minerals. It's essentially two different stories in a one shot from Bad Ideas, and it's basically Jonah gets swallowed by a whale, and the creatures in the whale's stomach help him escape. That's like the most surface description I can give you, but the way that this world inside of a whale is rendered, I have to show you.
So beautiful. What's that art? Who's that artist on the first story?
Adam Polina.
Okay.
Adam Polina with Tony Millionaire on colors, son.
Amazing.
Look at the inside of the cover. This is what the little boy who got swallowed looks like the entire time. Like the art is incredible. I almost feel like I'm reading like a claymation stop motion movie in this, if I'm being honest. Let me give you a little peek at the world. So I don't know exactly what this creature is, but there's a little crab and a seagull and a fish in a tank, or like in a bowl that's like swimming around or getting moved around inside the whale's belly. And they have built a town out of the trash that is landed inside of this whale. And so they happen upon a young boy who's washed up on the shore inside of this whale's stomach, and they show him around. They introduce him to life. They don't really know it as life inside the whale. To them, it's just life. And it's a really cool sort of like discussion about perceived realities versus reality and family. Like the kid is alone in this strange place. Is he going to be able to get home? How's that going to happen? You should read it and find out. It's gorgeous. It's like amazing the entire time through. Yes, that is Cody's favorite Green Lantern.
Sorry.
Cody.
I had to explain it for everybody.
We were having a moment just then. Beautiful whale belly moment. You ruined it with a broccoli drag queen.
And there are even more touching moments in this story that I'm not going to spoil for you, especially because you're not paying attention anyways.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. So that's part one of this amazing one shot from Bad Idea. The second one shot is Rocks and Minerals, a story about anthropomorphic rocks and minerals roaming around in a post-human world after an event happens called the Great Unpolishing. Like, how fucking cool is that? How could it get any better? It's essentially, it felt very much like a Evan Dorkin kind of thing, with like the random food elements chatting with each other and wandering around. But it gets really into like the little nuances of a completely mineral-based society. Again, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but you should read it. And
the artist on that one is Tony Millionaire, who
this is Tony Millionaire. I thought that was the colorist for the first
no
one.
That's Tony Millionaire is the artist. And if you ever like grabbed any, he was kind of a big deal in the 90s and like underground comics. He did Sock Monkey, that was kind of his big one. And this whole book's got like a super, in the best way possible, like a great 90s underground kind of vibe, and that it's just fun and silly and like dumb, but really, really, really well drawn. So
yeah,
I loved that book. And
I've got to, now that I've realized the error of my ways, I've got to correct myself. Previously, I said that Tony Millionaire was the colorist for the Whalesville, but it's actually Matt Hollingsworth. Duh. Matt Hollingsworth can do no wrong. Come at me, bro. No, it's incredible. These minerals even stumble across animals. I don't know. You guys should read it. I'm gonna stop talking about it.
It's so unlike anything that Bad Idea has done. I never would have seen this coming from Bad Idea based off of they just do like hard sci-fi books, like kind of Valiant without the strings. But this book is just like, I don't know how they landed this. Maybe it's just because Matt Kent had this cool thing and had these relationships with these cool artists, but it's so unique and rad.
Yeah, everything else Bad Idea puts out is like balls to the wall, or like just has a really intense vibe to it. This one was super weird and casual, and I loved it. I would read anything they put out in this vein in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, same.
Yeah. We've got plenty of them, so if you guys want to check it out, hop on. Is it on the website, or do you have to come to the shop to pick it up?
Yeah.
Come on down to the store, pick one up, give your boys a call. We'll help you get it figured out. Don't miss out on Whalesville, Rocks and Minerals. Who's next?
Cody.
Oh, it's me again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. First, I want to give a shout out to my buddy Paul. Hi, Paul. Welcome. Paul is a wildlife photographer as well as a writer, and I can't recommend checking out his work enough. Stunning photographs. Okay. Read his book recently. Loved it. He probably doesn't want me to be putting a spotlight on him, but he deserves it. So, hi, Paul.
Hi, Paul.
My next book is in the hands of Kev Botzilla. It is called Marauders.
Yes. Picks of the week.
Yes, this is Marauders Issue 20. This is by Jerry Duggan with art by Stefano Caselli. I don't have too much to say about this issue other than it's a Storm-focused issue. Storm is about to go through a metamorphosis as a character. Some important stuff is about to happen. She's probably going to leave this team, and we don't really know where Storm's going to end up. But this is kind of a retrospective on Storm as a hero and as a friend to the rest of the team on Marauders. And they're basically just getting really drunk on a boat and reminiscing about moments that they shared with Storm, moments that Storm displayed acts of heroism. And it's so touching for somebody who, like me, who Storm is your favorite, and you really like this issue really pays a lot of love to Storm's legacy. And it's exciting all the same, because like I said, she's going through a metamorphosis. She's going somewhere. The X Office has plans for her. So it was just really a beautiful read. It opens with a letter from Emma Frost to Kate Pryde, and I got super emotional reading this letter because these two characters go way, way back. They were introduced at the same time. Emma had kidnapped Kate. They have this long history of being frenemies, essentially. And the opening letter harkens back to Astonishing X-Men when Kate Pryde phased the giant space bullet through the earth. And it's like this crazy over-the-top X-Men story, and Emma references it and gives her this gift, and it's like an ornament to wear on Kate's look to the Hellfire Gala, and it just speaks so much about the relationship, how far they've come as characters, and these two also share a deep relationship with Storm. So everything in this issue came around beautifully. Jerry Duggan is doing the Lord's work with these characters. I cannot explain how excited I am that he's taking over the flagship X-Men book. I love this writer. He really understands these characters. So Marauders really stole my heart and was probably my favorite thing I read, because it really tugged at my heartstrings in particular. And the art's beautiful. Stefano Caselli knocks it out of the park almost every time. So
seriously, I was just flipping through it and it's gorgeous.
Yeah, and it's so funny too, because you get characters like Pyro telling stories about Storm. They play this little game where they guess how many knives Storm carries on her, because throwing knives is her thing.
I was gonna say, I didn't know Storm carried so many fucking knives, man. There's like 30, 40 knives that come out of her bodice.
And part of the issue too is a lot of these stories, Storm is not even using her powers, because Storm was without powers for a long time. When she was the leader of the X-Men, she had no superpowers. So people forget that she has so much agency just being herself, standing up for what she believes in. Callisto's there, and they reminisce about, there's obviously in jokes with Callisto and Storm after their fight in the Morlock tunnels all these years ago, and it was so nice. It felt like hanging out with friends, which I haven't done in like over a year. So every time I can, in the form of comics, it really warms my heart. And yeah, it was beautiful. I love Storm so much.
Nice.
Yeah, I just love her so much.
So we should mention that this copy I'm holding in my hands is the last copy we have right now. So if you'd like it, go ahead onto the website and purchase that. Otherwise, let us know via email or direct message, and we can look into ordering you a copy.
Mm-hmm.
Good point. Good note.
Just trying to keep it professional here,
That's
you
right.
heathens.
No, it's good. But now that everybody's going to go rush and buy that issue, only one lucky person is going to get it. The other 100 people that are watching this right now are going to be like, what happened? They just told me to get it.
Hey, listen, everyone who's watching this in the far future, I'm real sorry, but we're already sold out.
When you said that Pyro tells a story, I meant the classic Batman the Animated Series episode Almost Got Him, where they're all sharing, like the Joker and Riddler, and they're all sharing their like really elaborate things where they almost got Batman, and Killer Croc is like, oh, one time I threw a big rock at him, and that's his whole story. And I'm picturing Pyro that same thing, like one time I shot my fire thing at her.
I think Pyro's about due for a face tattoo touch-up. What do you think, Cody?
I know, it's so shocking that like he hasn't kicked the bucket and been resurrected without it yet. Or was he? Did he? No. I think that was like an illusion in that one issue. Yeah, so he's rocking the skull face tattoo this entire run. Another hilarious touch of Jerry Duggan. Yeah,
it's starting to look like a Dookie tattoo on his face.
Dang.
But yeah, there is kind of a moment like that where Pyro's talking about like, I've seen some mutants do some wild stuff, man. I've seen Magneto, and then he looks around and he's like, well, you guys don't really want to know what I've seen Magneto do.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Now it's your turn, Eitan.
What's my last book?
What was the last book? You had Good Asian,
Green Lantern, and I think it was another DC book.
Another DC book.
Swamp
Thing?
Swamp Thing.
Was mine
Swamp Thing?
I think you picked Swamp Thing.
Do you want to talk about Swamp Thing?
Are you talking about your other pick from yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you had Good Asian. You had
Star Wars.
Star Wars?
Yeah, Star Wars. I want to switch it to Swamp Thing. No,
guys, read this. Star Wars: War of the Bounty Hunters.
Yeah, that was cool. I mean, I'll just real briefly. So I haven't read a Star Wars comic since forever, and I decided to try this one, and it was super fun. Super fun. The idea is that between Boba Fett getting Han Solo in the carbonite and taking him to Jabba's palace, a whole war happened between all the bounty hunters over Han Solo and carbonite. So a lot happens in that scene cut from the slave one leaving, and then we see Han in the Jabba's palace. So it was just super fun. It was really actually really well done, and I will read the next part of the story after reading that one.
I like when they do that, when they take like an existing well-known, well-traveled road, and then they just like insert stories in between the different stops that you make on that. It's a pretty cool way to do it.
Look at Mike.
Oh, hey, another whole war in Star Wars. Thanks, Ruby.
It's Star Wars. Like it's
true. It's true.
It's
you get what you pay for. You get what you pay for.
Okay, it's not just one Star War.
There's multiple.
There's all kinds of wars going on.
Involving stars, usually.
Yeah, it's the stars fighting. They're like...
There was the Death Star.
Yeah.
There's other stars.
And then Death Star 2. Remember Death Star 2?
Oh, let's not forget.
Yeah, so that's what the whole thing's about.
Yeah.
For those who are really into like costume changes and stuff, one of the big points for Star Wars fans in this one is that Boba Fett temporarily, I think, or who knows, it's only the first issue, has a black costume, black version of his costume. So, if you're into that shit.
They're really just trying to like symbiote suit.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Okay, I got Swamp Thing for you, Eitan. You don't have a lot of time to talk about it because we're at an hour.
Okay. Something issue 3 was a big one in this new series of something. We have a new avatar of the Green, and he, for the very first time, visits the Green. And once he's there, he doesn't know where he is. He doesn't understand what's going on, but he's starting to get it, maybe a little bit. But he starts running into other significant characters who are connected to the Green. First is Poison Ivy, but actually Ivy and Poison. It's like It's like two sides to Poison Ivy.
I really liked that part.
Yeah,
Poison and Ivy.
I don't think I've ever seen that before, and it was a really interesting take on that character. You also have Woodrue, the Floronic man, who was a big part of the Alan Moore Swamp Thing. He's there. Is he there to help the new Swamp Thing? Is he going to be a problem like he was for the last Swamp Thing? And then, no spoilers, another really significant character in the Swamp Thing universe, like really significant, like the most significant, comes and is going to lead our new guy through the Green and probably lay out like what our guy needs to do as the avatar of the Green. So, and the book is like stunningly beautiful. The art and the layouts and the colors and everything is just like, wow. Like take your time reading it.
Definitely. Yeah. We also have some pretty amazing B covers for it too by Kyle Hotz, who, if you guys follow him at all, he does some bananas like symbiote style covers, and he nails the like creepy tendrils of the Green on the B cover for this one. So check it out.
Indubitably.
Cool. We have more stuff, but we should probably just cut, right? Because we're past an hour now at this point. So you guys are great. We love you. Thank you so much. Keep an eyeball out for the Asian American Pacific Islander covers that are out only this month. Some late comers to the variant game, in case you want to support that initiative. Mm-hmm. And thank you so much, guys, for joining us today.
Yeah.
And one more thing, let's pretend I didn't get up and run away during this broadcast to show off the new Allison Bechdel book, The Secret to Superhuman Strength. Yeah. This is the new memoir about her. I think they call it almost an obsession with or over the fitness craze. But yeah, this is a great new book by Allison Bechdel. We'd be remiss not to mention it, and I definitely thought of that myself, not because Juliet told me to.
I feel like we should say too that Juliet, we would have showed off your book that you edited, but I think we sold out of it.
Did we?
Yeah, we sold the 2 copies we got. So thank you so much for doing such an amazing job on that book. It's super fun to have a friend in the industry that we can say, "Hey, I know that girl."
Yeah.
And Allison Bechdel, if you don't recognize but from name alone, is from Fun Home, and Are You My Mother, and just like big deal memoir comics. So this is the next one, and
really great stuff.
Yeah, I'm super. I need to read this fitness as somebody who gets caught up in different fitness crazes. I'm really looking forward to checking this one out.
AKA Pel-Aton.
Oh boy, we got to go before he starts talking about his fitness again. Thank you so much, everybody. As usual, everything we talked about and so much more will be available via a link to our web store that I've included in the description of this video. And if you're watching after the fact, thanks so much for deciding to check it out. And yeah, that was a good show. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everybody. Thank you. Hey.
Bye.
Bye.